All right, so today we're going deep into Spanish football, and there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
I know you guys love John Fattal's channel and follow everything happening.
Yeah, he covers it all.
And there's just so much from, Real Madrid winning in the Champions League to, like, what's going on with Barcelona and their finances off the pitch.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about like wins and losses. This is about the whole sport, like the money, the referees, how the media talks about players. It's a lot.
For sure. And we've got, like, tons of articles and analyses and even what the fans are saying,
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to try to, like, cut through all that and give you guys the important stuff.
Exactly.
Are we ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start with Spanish football in general.
I mean, it's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, and at the center of it all is Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Of course.
These two huge clubs with, all this history.
The fans are so passionate.
Oh, yeah, and the rivalry is just, like, so intense.
But lately, they've been going in totally different directions.
Yeah, like Real Madrid, they seem to be back on top.
That Champions League win against Man City was unbelievable.
I know, everyone thought they were done.
City were the favorites, for sure.
But then Ancelotti just, like, pulls this crazy move with Valverde, right?
Yeah, putting him at right back.
Which he never plays.
Right, completely changed the game.
So he shut down City's left side, which is usually their strongest attack.
Exactly, and then Real could control the midfield and do those counterattacks they're known for.
And that 4-4-2 formation,
So important.
they just overwhelmed City in the midfield.
City looked confused. It was wild.
You never see them like that.
It was a risky work by Ancelotti, but it worked.
And Mbappe's, what a game.
3 goals, each one better than the last.
It was like he's dancing through their defense.
That second goal,
Unbelievable.
he gets the ball with his back to the goal, leaves the defender standing there, and scores in the corner.
Just amazing. Some people are saying he's already a Real Madrid legend.
And he's so young still.
The speed, the skill, the finishing, he's got it all.
And he's not the only one.
Oh, yeah?
Vinicius on the left, Rodrigo was dangerous all game. Benzema leading the team.
Even young Bellingham in midfield played great.
This Real Madrid team is deep, and they can score a lot of goals.
And this is all after a pretty bad start to the season in La Liga, right?
Yeah, they were losing some games. People were questioning Ancelotti.
But it looks like he figured it out.
They really came together in the Champions League.
So the question is, are they back, or was that just a lucky streak?
We'll have to see.
And then there's Barcelona.
Yeah, things haven't been so good for them, especially off the field.
All those financial problems and that Negreira case, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation.
So let's start with the money. La Liga has these salary caps.
Right, and Barcelona's having trouble staying under them.
I remember reading about that VIP seats deal. What was that all about?
So they needed money fast, so they sold future luxury box seats for a huge discount.
So they got money now, but it's going to hurt them later.
Yeah, it was a risky move.
And then the Negreira case.
That's a whole other problem.
They're accused of paying off a former referee, right?
It's a serious accusation, and it could mean point deductions, fines, maybe even transfer bans.
Wow, I didn't realize the VIP seats deal was so controversial, or that the Negreira case could be so bad. What were they thinking?
I think they felt desperate, like they had to bend the rules to stay competitive.
Right.
And it shows a bigger problem in Spanish football. There's not a lot of transparency or accountability, especially when it comes to the referees. Yeah, there's been a ton of criticism of La Liga referees, and it's understandable.
It does feel like sometimes the refs are deciding the games, not the players.
Right.
And then VAR was supposed to help, but it just seems to have made it more confusing.
Yeah, VAR, it's a mixed bag, I guess. It
Yeah.
can catch those really obvious mistakes that the refs miss.
Right.
But then it creates new problems.
Like, what's a clear error that's up for debate? And it feels like they don't always use VAR the same way in every time.
Yeah, consistency is definitely an issue.
And then there's the Nuñera Montero situation.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't help.
Didn't he have some businesses that, weren't allowed because he's a ref?
Yeah, there were these accusations that his business could affect how he calls games.
Wow.
It led to an investigation, which just makes people trust the refs even less.
It just makes the whole league look bad. If the fans don't believe the games are fair, it hurts the whole sport.
Absolutely, and it's not just about one ref, it's the whole system.
So what can be done? How do we fix this and make people trust the refs again?
That's the big question. Some people say the refs need more training.
Right.
That the rules need to be enforced more strictly, maybe even using more technology to make the calls.
Right.
Some think the whole system needs to change.
It's a tough problem with no easy answers.
Yeah, but La Liga has to figure it out or the league's going to suffer.
Okay, so let's move on from the refs and talk about the players. All this talk about Mbappe and Vinicius being rivals.
The media loves that kind of story.
It's like two huge stars, both want to be the best.
Makes for good headlines.
But is there really any bad blood between them, or is that just the media making the stuff up?
I think it's mostly hype. They're both amazing players and they're ambitious, but they seem to respect each other.
Right, and they play for the same team.
Exactly. They both make Real Madrid better.
I guess it's easy to fall for those media narratives.
It happens all the time.
Sometimes the best stories are about players working together, not against each other.
Totally. And that brings us to another big problem, not just in Spain, but in all of European football.
You mean how some clubs are way richer than others?
Exactly. It's getting worse. The gap between the big clubs and everyone else is huge.
It's not just transfers anymore. It's the salaries, the sponsorships, the marketing.
The big clubs have so much money. It's crazy.
And so does that mean it's not really a fair competition anymore?
Yeah, like, can a league be competitive if we already know who's going to win because they have the most money?
I think about my team, a smaller club. They don't have a lot of money. What chance do they have against, like, Real Madrid or Man City?
Yeah, it does feel like the game is rigged against them.
So it's not just about the clubs, it's about the players, too, right?
Of course, the smaller clubs lose their best players to the richer teams, which makes it even harder for them to compete.
It's like this never-ending cycle. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the sport isn't as exciting anymore.
Some people say that's just how things work now with the global market and everything, but others say it's ruining football, going against everything the sport is supposed to be about.
So it feels like we're at this, like, crossroads.
Yeah.
On the one hand, there's all this amazing talent, and the tactics are evolving. The sport is huge worldwide.
It's true.
But then we have these big problems that could, like, ruin the whole thing.
Right, but we can't forget that the fans can make a difference.
Yeah?
We can demand that the sport is run better, that things are more transparent, and that the games are fair.
We've seen fans make changes before, like when they stopped that European Super League.
Exactly, that showed that the fans have power, that the clubs and the people in charge have to listen to them.
Yeah, the fans are what make the sport what it is.
They're the heart of it.
So they can really push for things to get better, whether it's protests, online campaigns, or just choosing which teams and leagues to support.
Absolutely.
Okay, so after all this talk about the good and the bad in Spanish football, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
I'd say the most important thing is to think for yourself.
Okay.
Don't just believe everything you hear, whether it's from the media or social media or even other fans.
Yeah.
Ask questions, look for different opinions, and don't be afraid to challenge things.
That's good advice for life in general, not just football.
And remember, football is more than just a game. It's a mirror. It shows us who we are, what we want, what we're good at, and what we're bad at.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these things, when we demand more from the sport, we're actually trying to make the world a better place.
I like that.
It all connects.
So one last question. With all this inequality between the rich clubs and everyone else, can European football keep going like this?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Maybe we'll see some big changes like salary caps or sharing the money more evenly.
Right.
Or maybe the fans will say enough is enough and force them to go back to what football is really about.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Definitely.
But one thing's for sure, football's always changing. It'll keep surprising us, challenging us, and bringing us together.
Absolutely. And if you want to stay up to date on everything that's happening, hear different opinions, and get into some good debates, you got to check out Jean Foutal's channel.
Yeah, he's awesome. He explains all the complicated stuff, and his comment section's always wild.
Definitely worth a follow.
So if you're not subscribed, hit that button and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, share it with your friends. We appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hello. If you are listening to this, you may not be subscribed to the channel. Activate the bell so that they will notify you when there is a new story, and share it with the people you want. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.